No, not the watch. I mean the watch too. And now, it's that time again for the best damn opening in Facebook Live and YouTube history. R8RRBEAR! Let's go! Asaltante Oso, that bear you all know. Oh, let's go! That's right. Season's almost over, and I'm more excited about this than I was when the season started. Wait, what? How? I'll tell you. Often imitated, never duplicated. Nah, that fool with no hair that shouts like Ric Flair. Whoa! What? Woo! Ahem. The Raider Bear! Good. Raiders! Yeah, I missed you too. Make the Raiders great again! Braga! Follow me! Vote Bear! Muraga! We're creating Muraga. It's a thing now. No, it is. I'm serious. All right, family. We're going to get started on this thing, and we're going to get started on it in just a moment. But first, Tradish Raider Bear Live. First comment. Woo. MVP tonight goes to, I don't know. Haven't even looked yet. The world heavyweight champion and 5-emoji making son of a gun, Mark Vargas, who has asked me for a moment of silence for his nephew, Derek Joshua. Appreciate you, brother. Much love. Derek, love you, brother. Sorry I didn't get to meet you, but we all know where you are. Second place, John the Lion. Leon, always spreading love, but never catching a cold. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Third place, my bronze medal goes to the handsome, extraordinary man of the hour. I don't know where I got that from. Ramiro! Woo! Did he get my cease and desist order about that email? Cash flow! Castro! His dirty, dirty baby brother. I doubt it's an older brother, because an older brother would have more class and would have given up that email by now. That little brat. I don't even know. Third place, my bronze medal goes to S.A. Big Dog. Sup, brother? Welcome to the show. Hope you had a great Christmas and soon to be Happy New Year. Facebook, where I cut my teeth, where I became the Raider Bear that I are. I'm just putting it up there right off the bat. The champ gets that kind of respect. You know what I mean? It's like he hadn't even come out of the curtain yet. We're just hitting the fireworks. Just dropped his music. Carlos! Boykins! What's up, champ? Welcome to the show. Always there for Raider Bear. Yours and mine, the people's champion, Carlos Boykins. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Second place, my silver medal goes to handsome head of my security, Joe Holman. And Joe, I don't know if you saw, they don't want you using those small little Walter, 22, little pistols, those little James Bond guns. No more of that stuff. Okay, we're bringing you up to the Glock. Okay, I'm gonna get you one of those John Wick, Vipers. Has like 24 rounds in it, crazy quick, reload, blah, blah. Third place, my bronze medal goes to one of the benefactors of my show, Corinna! Woo! True. Hello! What's up, though, girl? One of my favorite Raiderettes. How you doing, girl? Welcome to the show. Honorable mention to Mr. Guy 2121, who's in here too. Carlos Megana, honorable mention, brother. What's up? Jim Garrison, what's up? Honorable mention. Kevin Kahuhado. Hi, honey. Hi, guys. I missed your face too, brother. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's going to be Mendoza, guys. Yeah, you remember my last show, although it was a while ago. I've been on a half I've been on a half vacay. But yeah, Mendoza's going to be the guy. I mean, barring something changing between like the combine and that kind of stuff, Mendoza's going to be the guy. And then also that's barring us not losing. We have to lose to the Chiefs to guarantee. How many guarantees was that? Guarantee one more to make sure that we get that first round pick. If some weird coincidence we were able to win the game against the Chiefs, that would screw everything up. I don't know what that would vault us down to, but it would drop us down, I think, to like 4th or 6th or something, maybe even worse than that. So we're going to lose against the Chiefs to end the season. It'll be the first time any Raider fans in mass were cheering for a loss against the Chiefs. This feels weird. Let's go, Chiefs. Come on, where's Gil Moody? Get Gil Moody in here. Man, I bought a Raiders guitar today, and it played like... Dale, do I have permission to use that joke? That's pretty good. I don't use other people's jokes. I'm just kidding. That's pretty funny, though. Jesse Parker, my fashion designer. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Hey, and Jesse, I saw that you were a fan of Boo Man. So I checked out Boo Man, and it's actually got some dope clothes. I actually got some stuff from there for Christmas, and yeah, I like it. So you inadvertently turned me on to that. Steve Sweet, Bear! What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Appreciate the love. Okay, let me see. Jerry McCrary, what's up? Welcome to the show. Make the Raiders coaching staff great again. Right? All right, look like we have a question here. Anthony Guerrero, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Bear, is there a world where trade away the number 1 spot for more picks? Is this team, specifically our O-line, ready to handle a franchise quarterback without totally wrecking him out of the gate? Well, Anthony Guerrero, that's a great question. Well said. Welcome to the show, and thank you for giving me a football-focused question. So here we'll go into that. Now, first and foremost, the way the NFL is, and if you've watched it for any period of time, and it sounds like you have just from your question, you know for a fact that sometimes, depending on the franchise, you let the guy sit for a year or two, carry a clipboard, and learn the speed of the NFL, see defenses, learn how to read defenses, or you're pretty bad, and you need to get him out there now. Now, if you really think about it, though, the only thing that we really have to work on, I mean really work on, is the offensive line. Everywhere else, we could have went into the season and we would have been pretty good had we had our offensive line. Now, obviously, the other problem is Geno. Okay, so obviously we're going to get rid of Geno. And then once Geno's gone, whoever we bring in to be the kid, and it's probably going to be Fernando Mendoza, he's probably going to see the field pretty quick. Now, having said that, we'll probably have a veteran in front of him in name only on the roster. But when the season starts, he'll probably be his feet will hit the ground. Now, the reason I say that is because Tom Brady, our minority owner, is going to be in charge of a lot of the decision-making in this process. And I know that he always felt had he gotten his opportunity sooner, he would have done the same thing. And the fact that he sat behind that guy Bledsoe for many years, I'm not sure exactly how long he was behind Bledsoe, but for however long it was, he felt like it was too long, that he could have just hit the field and got started. Now, if we do get Mendoza, then you guys, you're watching, we're going to have a lot of picks that are going to be able to go to the offensive line, probably at least 4. And then you're going to have free agency movement that you're going to be able to make, where you're going to be able to make deals. I would say, for example, take the number 1 pick in Mendoza, and then maybe trade down after that in 2 and 3, and then look for that offensive line help, because the offensive line help in this particular draft is stupendous. There is a lot of dudes. I'm talking from, if you just put the offensive linemen all over the country in order, it goes from 1 to about 40 of guys that are legit. Now, not all of them are, he's going to be a starter. I'm not over-exaggerating. But what I mean is from 1 to 40, you're getting quality. These aren't bums. These are guys that, if not starters, probably are going to hold on a team somewhere and are going to be a backup or a starter somewhere at guard or tackle, or maybe center. So there's a lot of depth in this draft. Great question, Anthony. Thank you for getting off to a good start. Do you think the Raiders are going to start Kenny Pickett or AOC? I think it's going to be Kenny Pickett because he has no value in the market, but AOC does. So if you keep AOC shut down, he's just getting that much more healthier and healthier. Now, obviously, healthy is healthy. I mean, if he's healthy and he's ready to go, he's ready to go. But the truth is, you want other teams to feel like he couldn't be healthier. In other words, we got him back 3-4 weeks ago, but we've made him sit the whole time. He's done warm-up stuff. He's run around in practice, but has not seen the field. That tells other teams this guy is ready to go. He's not banged up. And if you need a guy that could be a potential starter for you in what's an off year for your team, here's your guy. You know what I mean? Maybe you bring him up to Cleveland to challenge for the job in Cleveland. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Troy Gill, are you sure Bear won't be traded with the Jets and Mendoza still coming back to school? The only reason I don't think that's going to happen, Troy, is because Tom Brady is going to want to put his imprint on this team. And if you really look closely at what we did, we brought in that kid, Dante Thornton. We brought in the kid, Jack Besh. There's your 2 young wide receivers. Then you have Brock Bowers, arguably the best, if not the top 3 best tight end in all the NFL. And then Michael Mayer, who in his last game looked pretty damn good. And now that 1-2 punch at tight end is starting to look realistic with a better quarterback. Okay, so now you get rid of Geno, you bump up the offensive line, and you have a pretty good team like that. And remember, did any of us expect to see the Broncos play like this? No. Because you can really go from bad to, hey, look at us, just like that if you just put the right pieces in. I just hope that Tom doesn't try to overthink this, trade down from the number 1 spot, and say, hey, you know what? The 18th quarterback, I scouted him myself. He's going to be a Super Bowl winner like me. And then the guy comes in, he's a bum, he's out in 3 years, and we're all shaking our heads again. So let's just hope Tom doesn't do anything silly like that. Look at Ma Bear being all sweet. Okay, remember back in the day when the NFL used scud players during the strike? That's who will be playing Sunday instead of the original 53-man roster. I was kind of surprised by that. I didn't mind the Max Crosby benching. You can argue that's your best player on the entire roster, so you're not going to put him into meaningless games. I completely understand that. That's a contract thing to me. Although you could also see the other side of it because Max Crosby is losing out on some very lucrative incentives. Had he played those last 2 games, he was going to make a nice little chunk of change, and now suddenly he's not. And you guys know as well as I do, I don't give a damn how many Raider logos he has on his body. You F with a guy's money when he's got a wife and kids and he's taking care of his parents. And you know you can leave like that. Because any team in the league is going to be frothing at the mouth for a shot at Mad Max, the Condor, Mr. Stats, Mr. Energy. We got to be real careful with this next season, and I mean real careful. I would even reach out to him and his agent and start talking about renegotiations on his contract now. I would start early and show him, hey man, we got you in our plans. Trust me. Okay, Kevin Kahuhano says draft order should be quarterback, offensive guard, offensive tackle, linebacker, safety. Okay, I'm going to only change one thing in there, and that's the linebacker. I would take the linebacker out. I would go tackle one more time. Because remember, we have a problem at right tackle, and our guy on the left side is getting old and a little bit injury prone. And so I don't want to wait until he actually breaks to bring someone in. You know what I'm saying? Oh, look, Raging Raider Rhino in the house. Look at you, caught me representing. Huh? Victor Remy. What's up, Victor? Hi, Rosa. What's up, Bear? Do you know if Crosby is going to seek a trade or stay? No, he's not going to seek a trade. He is going to stay. But sooner or later, he's going to have max control over, pun intended, max control over his contract. And if the Raiders don't have their stuff together by the time he gets to that point, there's just no way to know. There are those who think he'll never leave the Raiders no matter what. And I happen to kind of be in that I kind of happen to be in that thought process. I mean, see, for example, I'm the kind of guy that thinks to myself, okay, the Raiders signed the Bear right out of school. Okay, so now I love the Raiders. They gave me my wealth. They made me rich. I'm a Raider. Okay, now 7 years goes by. We've been losing all 7 years, going up and down, switching in and out of coaches. I'm getting frustrated. But they paid me $100 million. Okay? My wife's never going to work. My daughter's never going to work. My mom and dad are going to die rich. I'm staying a Raider. I just am. I'm staying a Raider. I want them to build. I would even be one of those guys that would renegotiate part of his contract in those last couple of years so they could bring more guys in. How rich do you have to be? You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. How rich do you have to be? I know a lot of these guys, they go broke later on in their careers, but that's because they mismanage money. I'm not going to start businesses for friends and buy 7 Lamborghinis. I'm not like that. I'm not like that. And I can prove it because I'm doing all right. I have money. I mean, if I wanted to go buy another car right now, I could. If I wanted to go buy a motorcycle or anything like that, I could. But I don't, because having money feels better than spending money. You see what I'm saying? So I get things I need. I get fun things sometimes too. You guys saw I bought a motorcycle, but it's nice. You can't even really call it a motorcycle yet. It's a scooter. But I'm doing all sorts of custom work to the motor and everything. This is also interesting, huh? Derek Carr will be signed, Bear. That's not funny. We were that desperate for about 5 minutes. What do you think about Lamar Jackson rumors to the Raiders? Marco Rivas, welcome to the show. I've heard that. I haven't really entertained it. I just don't see a scenario where the Ravens don't have him end as a Raven. He would have to really tear his Achilles or have some sort of public incident, where he says the team sucks and he wants a trade. He would kind of have to make it happen. I can't see the Ravens letting him go. Hi, Nisi Tweet Thomas, one of my favorite Raiderettes on the show. And by the way, I should remind all of you that you should subscribe to Raider Bear Live. And if you look right down there, or is it right down there? I think it's right down there. You'll see a subscription if you would. And if you can't, look for me on Patreon. I have a less expensive option for you to follow me on Patreon. And if you would, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe so I can get my Raider voice out to the rest of Raider Nation, because the rest of these bums are somewhat boring. And I want to make the Raiders great again. Okay, let's see. John the Leon, spreading some love, saying something crazy like, trade Crosby. Get another number one this year and more and build this team. Crosby is not for a rebuild team. Okay, John, first, I hate you because that made a lot of sense. I mean, guys, we can all be mad at what he said, but it's true. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, when you're in the process of breaking a team down from top to bottom, and we are about to do that, there's a lot of guys that are not going to be on this roster next year, including the coaching staff. And when you're doing something like that, keeping your one Superman, in the building tends to be dumb because he's not going to be able to grow with and be a part of the winning of the next generation of what you're doing. Especially if the next generation doesn't work, then he feels like he just wasted his time there when he could have went somewhere else, got a whole new, bigger, lucrative deal at any team he was traded to now would give him a new guaranteed contract. And it would be even more than what we're paying him now because the market goes up each year. And it would be by next year before they can make any deal. And yeah, I mean, it business-wise, it makes sense. I just hope they don't do it because it's just too hard to find guys like that. We all watched how long it took us to get another Khalil Mack. We finally get one almost by accident in Max Crosby, and now we're thinking about letting him go. That's stupidity to me. I read that. Sorry, I'm putting up old questions. What'd Mama Bear say? We will get screwed, and Max Crosby goes to the queefs of the whiners. Yeah, that would be hard to watch. Joe Redmond, what's up, man? Oh, that's a nice bird. As long as he leads to a lose this week, he is set to stay in the number one spot. Yeah, I agree. Breeze Raider Nation, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Ooh, we got our watch game going. Do you think that we can get a true number one draft and free agent this year coming up? Okay, well, I think we can, Breeze, but I don't think we will. We really have to take this quarterback. It's either going to be Fernando Mendoza or the other kid, Dante, and it almost has to be because you're too far behind the 8 ball to not take the guy best available. To me, Fernando Mendoza, I feel like outdoes Dante Moore a little bit more. Now, if those of you hear me say I like Fernando Mendoza more than I like Dante Moore, I have a lot of people that want to argue with me about that. And I don't mind doing that, but I need to explain to everyone what you're arguing with. Okay, not me personally, but I mean the circumstance. See, I don't look at the players' performances and the things they did on the field as kids in the NCAAs. I don't look at that. Now, do I see it? Of course. But what I mean is I don't look at that as my graduating stick as to which guy I think is better. I look for tools. I look for, does one guy have better footwork? I don't care about his arm action. You can work on that in the pros. I don't necessarily care about his strength because I can take him into the pros and he's going to get with strength trainers and he's going to get stronger. You know what I mean? If he has a naturally strong arm, that's great. But that always doesn't necessarily lead to, wins. There are a lot of strong arm quarterbacks that have come and gone. And I would argue that there's less strong arm quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls than strong arm quarterbacks that have. If you really look at the NFL history of Super Bowls. I think it's close, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, there probably are quite a few strong armed quarterbacks in Super Bowl history. But I think Fernando Mendoza, to me, I like his measurables a little bit better. I like that he's a little heavier. I like that he's a little taller. I think that means he's going to be a legit 6'4", 6'5", where Dante Moore looks like he's, they say he's 6'1". And most of you know this, but for those of you who don't, the NFL and college always exaggerate the player's size. They always put him a couple inches taller, and they always make him a couple pounds heavier. Tony, make it dip. Bear! What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Will AOC play against the Chiefs? No. It's possible, but I doubt it. If my question was asked, my apologies. I had to go outside and throw out the trash. Yeah, no problem. Stop apologizing. I love you, girl. It's no problem. Tony, make it dip. I'm pretty positive we're going after Fernando Mendoza for sure. Dustin King, that's what I think the majority of this draft is going to be. I will have more for you later on when I know exactly what our picks are. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you exactly what kind of guys we can get, where we get them. Now, one of my other viewers just a moment ago put out his depth chart of what he thinks we should do. And he put down quarterback, offensive lineman, and then he put down linebacker, safety. Now, personally, I think safeties can be found. I like Jeremy Chin. I feel like that's halfway there. Pola Mao still has some work to do, but I like his upside. I think Pola Mao is visually growing. You know what I mean? He had some bad stats there mid-year, and then toward the end, he's played a little better. I'd like to see them continue to grow Pola Mao and then look at free agency if he doesn't look good immediately. Mark, I don't know if Max Crosby needs knee surgery, but if he does, from what I'm reading, it's very light. It's an arthroscopic surgery. It's what a lot of people refer to as a cleanup surgery. And what that means basically is he may have floating bone, detached cartilage, maybe a tear in the muscle, and they go in and they repair that. It's literally a like 45-minute in and out surgery. You don't even stay overnight. Now, you don't walk or anything. You have to be on a wheelchair until you get home, and then you have to be on crutches after that. But I actually have had an arthroscopic surgery on my right knee. I was up and walking in one day, and I had to be, careful. I was ginger. It was still sore and everything, but I could move it and I could bend it, and it was just a minor surgery. And I'm not trying to say anything bragging. I'm saying almost all guys can do that with this surgery because it's very non-invasive. They just put in 3 lasers. They don't actually open up your whole knee. They just insert 3 lasers. It's just 3 little thin tubes, 2 with parts in them and 1 with a laser, and zip, 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 and then they pull it out. So he'll be fine, ready to go for next year for sure. Joe, yeah, we need O-line help, but if there's that many to pick from, I'm going to beat my drum. We need the best defensive end we can get. Oh, and by the way, I don't use Glocks. I'm a Sig Sauer. Walter Guy and FS Brady. I have a Sig Sauer myself, brother. I like Sig Sauer stuff. I have a compact Sig Sauer 9. And I know I say compact to people, they think compact. It's not a small gun. It just basically means it has a smaller handle. So it just comes right to the grip's edge of my hand. I just kind of like that. Hopefully the Chiefs won't screw us out of the number 1 pick. Well, they would have to score less than us, Gary, and I just don't think they're going to do that. Even though they have a backup quarterback, I just don't think they're going to do that. They may try. It might be the field goal bowl. Could you imagine that if we're like inside their 30 and we decide not to kick a field goal and just run a play? Run up the middle and go, oh, darn, we didn't make the first down. All right, here, your ball. Max will get reimbursed under the table for the money. Jesse, honestly, I honestly did think about that, but that's not why he's mad. Honestly, he wanted to play, but I don't think it was about the money. I just think he wanted to play. You know what I mean? Because the incentives are big enough that you could get pretty pissed if someone took them from you. And so I'm saying I don't think that's what it's about, but I don't know for sure. You know what I mean? It very well could be that. Tony, we do have a lot of cap space. It should be good. Mama Bear's right. We can't lose Max. I agree. But it is just business, Mama Bear. And oftentimes trading your best defensive player is the best way to clear the most cash to get a lot of herd of guys in. Yeah, no, Marco, when I say they're messing with his money, that's not what I'm talking about. You're absolutely correct. He is getting paid for these 2 games because he is a healthy do not play or DNP. So it's by no fault of his own. He didn't get any trouble. He wasn't in a car accident, got a DUI or anything like that. So that's why they would ban him checks. No, what we're talking about when I say they're pulling money out of his pockets is because there are incentives in his contract that he would have hit potentially in these next 2 games, and then extra bonuses would have kicked in on top of the $47,000 he's making per game. Does that make sense? I know it does, but I just like to say that politely. Addison Perrin, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. I like that profile pic. Looking good, brother. We have so much money for free agency. We need to spend some of it and not on old guys on the back end of their career, a.k.a. Jalen Ramsey. Addison, welcome to the show. Great comment. I got to say this to you, though. If no one picks up Ramsey and he's out there and we can make a deal with him, I would still do that. I mean, I think we should keep our roster spots open for as much young players that are going to be a part of the future as we possibly can. Because, for example, is Jalen, Ramsey really going to be a part of a 4-year rebuild program that we're about to go into? I doubt that. You know what I mean? I even kind of doubt it with Max. You know what I mean? Because remember, guys, he's in year 7. Okay, so that would have him in year 10 going into year 11 by my math as to whether or not the Raiders get in Fernando, get better players, get defense, get offensive linemen, and fix the coaching staff. You see what I mean? There's a lot to be done. And you can't just expect that each one of those things that has to be done are all going to work out. Maybe we end up with another bad coach. Maybe we end up with another bad staff coach as far as offensive lineman or defensive coordinator, you know. So there's just so many balls to juggle nowadays. It's just hard to know if you're really going to be able to field that team that's going to get out there and do it. Justin Egg! Appreciate the love on the stars, brother. Yeah, I get that, Kevin. He was saying we always break at tackle. Oh, good Lord. Hello, Tim Newport and Peggy. I can understand why you're excited for the season to be over. Tim, did I ever tell you I really like your wife? I haven't? Okay, good. Hi, Peggy. It's always good to hear from you. There's a saying in Spanish that translates to with money, the dog will dance. No, Max Crosby is not a dog. No, I get what you're saying. I don't know. Again, I'm not really sure it's about the money. I think he was just mad that it was the money and he couldn't play. Glenn Ford, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Bear, if we kept the D from last year, we would have made the playoffs. Glenn, I can't argue with that, but at the same time, if you don't make moves, you know, to loosen up money for all these, you know what I mean? Some of it they just have to do, and you have to do it because you can't be paying too much for losing. So that's why sometimes as fans, we get frustrated because we don't see our team do something mid-year, blah, blah, blah. Well, you have to win that. So in other words, if we go to week 5 and we're 4-1, well, then, yeah, your front office is going to pull the trigger, look for someone that's going to make the team better and really keep this 4-1 path that we're on chugging ahead. But if you're 1-4, no, you're dumping salary. You're letting guys go. Why do you think we kept doing all those free agent wide receivers and offensive linemen and defensive linemen all coming in and out week after week, signed from the, you know, restricted free agency, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's because we weren't good. And so that was a lot of budget balancing. Tony Carpenter Evans, permission to come aboard, young lady. Another one of my favorite Raiderettes. Hi, love. Look at Linda Bear. She can't help but give me money. You know, that's how I met her. I was an escort. What? I needed the money. Okay, let's see. Even Derek Carr said he was going to be a Raider for life. Every player will move on. Yeah, exactly. The only thing Carr could do for the team would come back to work with Mendoza for a year. That would be helpful. Joe, not even for a year. I wouldn't mind if they signed him on as a quarterback's coach. Let him get experience. Guys like that love to become coaches. Well, the best way in the door is in one of the little smaller coaching positions. Well, what better than quarterback prep? Work on his footwork. Work on his hands. Work on where his hands are. You know, does he come out of the pocket and keep him at his heart? Or does he bring it up to his shoulder as he moves around? You know what I mean? 2 hands on the ball instead of 1. So if guys come hit you from behind, you don't fumble the ball, et cetera, changes mechanics. Is he throwing outside with his hand out here, or is he coming over his ear and giving that good spiral? You know, I think Derek could be great for that. Cody Palmer. Yo. Hi, man, it's an all ladies night tonight. True, hello, and Mama Bear, and Niecy Tweed Thomas, who I am super grandbaby jealous over. Okay, I saw that picture you took for the holidays where you were all sitting on the stairs. Mwah, beautiful family, absolutely beautiful. Brian Dable or Joe Brady with Mendoza or Moore will be good thing. I trust those two to coach our franchise quarterback. Jaw Raider 97, that's actually a great comment. I would say to you, I would lean toward Joe Brady. I thought Brian Dable got kind of exposed a little bit with the Giants there toward the end. He wasn't able to keep that roster, you know, really motivated. It seemed like they were having some internal problems. You know what I mean? It felt very Pete Carroll toward the end there. I don't know if I want that guy in our locker room. Miss you too, Glenn Medina. Appreciate the love. There are rumors that the Raiders are in CJ Carr of Notre Dame because his grandpa coach Brady and Spytech at Michigan. Troy Gill, there's always going to be rumors. I haven't heard enough about that one to confirm it. This is why I love you, Brother Bear. We need to look at all the stats, not just the Heisman titles. Yeah, honestly, and I like Dante Moore. There's nothing about Dante Moore I don't like, except the guy in front of him is just a little bit more of a physical specimen to me. I just believe that. And I think Fernando has enough. I mean, for example, I don't know if he's faster than Dante Moore or not. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about he's taller, so he's going to more often be able to see over the line in front of him. Whereas, will Dante Moore every once in a while have to move out of the pocket and away from blocks like Tua Tagovailoa has to do, because he can't see over the line. And I don't know how many of you have noticed that, but if you watch Tua Tagovailoa with the Dolphins, on every second or third play, he's rolling right, rolling left, rolling right, rolling left, because he can't see. He needs throwing angles, and that's too much. If you're going to be a pro quarterback, you have to create your own angles with your arm. Mark Vargas points out that Moore is 6'3", 205, and Mendoza is 6'5", 225. Now, I just don't believe Moore's 6'3". I don't believe that. I want to, but I don't believe that. Whereas Mendoza looks 6'5" to me. He just does. You know what I mean? And 225 is reasonable for a guy 6'5". What's best for our team to draft, O-line or quarterback? Well, Glenn Medina, both, but not in that order. Quarterback first, then O-line. The only thing I was disagreeing with one of my viewers about earlier was how many O-linemen I would go. I don't understand why there's this attitude that you have to pick one of each thing. If you don't spread it out through all the positions, you're dumb. Why? Why can't you just decide that other positions you can fill in free agency and with trades, and where you really need help, go young. Just monopolize all these offensive linemen. Make moves, even if it means trading up or trading down, whichever the case may be. Get big men in here that can block for this quarterback so that we can, and because you brought in so many guys and you bring in free agents and maybe make a trade or two, and look at guys you had on the roster last year who just got cut. Maybe they got better in the offseason working out and training and so on, but you put a massive focus on the offensive line. Now, my guy Joe Holman he has swore a voodoo spell. He sacrificed a chicken. I think it was a bucket of KFC. It wasn't a live chicken. Don't you guys get all PETA on me. But he is trying to create as much magic as he can to get someone at the opposite side at defensive end who is the best neck breaker, brawling defensive end, coming out of the NCAAs to put butts in quarterbacks, putting butts in them. We need a defensive end putting foots into these quarterbacks in this NFL. And it can't just be Max. You know what I mean? If we do that, then I'm in. Red Rover said Fernando on over. What's our biggest need besides quarterback and O-line? Glenn Medina, personally, I would say linebacker. I think linebacker is very important. I think the play that we got out of White last year was huge, but we can't keep depending on that. He's getting to be an older guy. We've got to support him. We've got to get better at linebacker. Let's see. Tony Shefford, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Salute, Bear, Raider Nation. Just got here. Maybe it came up. No problem. Hey, I freaking love GT, but hindsight, should we have traded back up to get Dart last season, not at number 6? I don't think so. I think they've seen some struggles with Dart. I think Dart with the Giants, he's got a quarterback coach, offensive coordinator kind of coach, and Brian Daboll, so there was a lot of comfort level there. Whereas with Pete Carroll, that would not have been there. And I don't know if that would have been there with AP. I don't know. But, with Pete Carroll being more of a defensive coach his entire career, I don't know that a quarterback would have been as cool with him. For example, whoever our next coach is going to be, I'm willing to go out on a line and tell you it's going to be an offensive coach. We're not going to get a defensive coach. I mean, not because it's not good. I love defensive coaches, but Tom's not going to want a defensive coach. He's going to want an offensive coach so that Tom can be even more involved. See, if you get a defensive coach, Tom can't have that same step in and feel like he's putting his foot in the soup, so it tastes that much better. It's a black culture thing. They say put your foot in it or your elbow, that kind of stuff. But Tom's going to want to put his elbow in that soup so he can say, hey, I was in the war room when Spytek, pulled the trigger on that guy. So we'll see. But like, for example, when Pete's gone, Spytek will survive this because he's Tom's guy. That right there is a look into the mental makeup of what's going on with the Raiders. If Tom thinks it's right, it doesn't matter if it works at first or not. Tom will give it all the time in the world because he wants to be seen as right. He wants to be seen as having made the right decision. So if he has to wait for 3 or 4 years for the coach for him to be able to go, look, see, I was right about him. He'll wait. Even if he's bad, even if we're, the nation saying, get rid of that guy, he's a bum, he won't listen. Let's see. How many Super Bowls has Mac won since leaving the Raiders? We need to get a quarterback and build around him using Max as the trade piece. Again, John, I'm not disagreeing with your logic, but I would say to you that he went to the Chargers. No, that's it. That's all. Put foots in them, okay? The Chargers. You know how many things they've won in 67 years? Whoa! Let me reach way back here for this donut and bring it all the way up. Nada, zilch, zip, none, kaput. So, yeah, I get it. But, since he's left, we haven't won either. So the argument does really go both ways, John. Both ways, John. I've seen franchises hold on to their best player and try to improve. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I could understand where they might go John Gruden and do what he did and let go of our Khalil Mack and Max Crosby, let go of the entire coaching staff. Tom Brady comes in, puts his thumb on everything and everywhere. You know what I mean? I'll pick the head coach. I'll pick this and I'll pick that. You know what I mean? That's what we're going to see. And God help you for those Raider fans that I can remember a couple years ago saying, we should bring in Tom Brady. He'll fix us. He knows how to build a champion. Why? Why do people assume that? He won rings as a quarterback. That has nothing to do with cap space and player positions and their demeanors and injury history and cap space. But Tom, he's just a winner, I guess. Yeah, Glenn, we're going to work on the O-line first, but we got to get the quarterback in. Yeah, Bob, we have the first pick. I did hear that, but I also heard that it could be mathematically in jeopardy if we beat the Chiefs, I thought. But if it isn't, that's great. I'd love to be wrong. Had a knee replacement and walked that same day. Yeah. See, Glenn, you know what I'm talking about. Who in free agency can we get, though, to help Max? Well, we showed how we did that when we brought in that guy, Le'Veon Chason, that ended up going to, was it the Patriots? Yeah, he was with the Jaguars. Then we picked him up. He played great for us. And then we let him leave in free agency to the Patriots. Some of the moves we made. I mean, remember we let that one linebacker go to the Colts. We said, he's a bum. He's a wash-up, blah, blah, blah. And then he went to the Colts and was one of their best linebackers. So, yeah, Glenn, honestly, it's smooth. I love how they rack. You know what I mean? There's a little feel to the rack, but it's not like, you don't have to be Hercules. I like that. Bob, I'm not really sure who I think would be the next best head coach, but I'm prepared for your question, Bob. I actually was doing some homework before the show, and I was looking at some names that I thought could actually help and also be strategic. For example, Vance Joseph is the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. He's a big reason why they were able to turn things around, and he obviously knows our division well. He's going to be available potentially. So, I'm looking at Vance Joseph and wondering if that would be a good fit. Now, that would be us bringing in, though, another defensive coordinator-minded coach. So even though I think that's smart, I think it's a good fit, I think it would be something that would fit in our division and give us information, I don't think Tom's going to go that route. Even if it makes sense, he's going to want an offensive guy. Okay, so moving down then, that would be where we get to the next pick, Matt Nagy. That's now before everyone loses their mind and starts throwing tomatoes and eggs at my face. I know that that's the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, but it will then bring us an intimate understanding that we don't really have of their offensive nuances, how they do things. And more importantly, it'll bring that style of innovation and more forward thinking offense that isn't just I formation, play action, this, that, or the other to the tight end. No, you've got to add that speed motion, those scat formations, the jet motion, the delayed draw, play action, throw over the top at the post going out of bounds. You got to look for plays like that. You have to develop stuff like that. And then, of course, Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, he has a lot to do with why they had the success they've had. So I would definitely look at that. Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, same reason. Defensive coordinator, probably won't get picked for that reason, but I think that's stupid. The offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, Clint Kubiak. Now, there is a chance, as weird as this might sound, that they let Pete Carroll play out his contract because they're not sure yet which coach they want. And they bring on Clint Kubiak to be the offensive coordinator for the Raiders with a behind-the-scenes handshake. You're going to be the head coach at the end of the season. We're going to let just Pete go off in the sunset, and you're going to become our new head coach. I think that's a smart move. If you really look at what the Seahawks have done, they had an incredible season after Pete Carroll left. A lot of that is attributed to Clint Kubiak and his offense and the way they played. And I honestly, I could see him doing some great things for us. And then, of course, it would really destroy Peggy. I don't know if I got Peggy's attention. Peggy, get out of the kitchen. Stop pouring yourself and your husband a drink and get back over here on the sofa. And listen, I was about to give you this choice verbal whooping and put foots in you because the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, R8RRBEAR Smith, is also available. And without sounding like I'm giving a compliment to the Steelers, I guess he could be okay. R8RRBEAR Smith would make a very good head coach for the Raiders, offensive coordinator for the Steelers. So there's that. What's the chance we trade Max seriously, and what should we get? Okay, Glenn, you would have to get at least a couple first-round picks, probably a player or two, and if nothing else, like an expiring contract to ease cap space, which we have a ton of, but you can never have too much cap space. So, but I just don't like the return because, for example, if you just find one good player to take Malcolm Koontz's job from him and get rid of Malcolm Koontz and put a decent defensive end there and you pair him with Max Crosby, now you're already halfway there. Now you have Eric Stokes at corner. You only need to find one more corner, and then, you find one more safety. Now you're starting to get somewhere. You build the offensive line, but you find those pieces in free agency, mostly with veterans, and build something that you think will work. Hey, what's up, kid?
Oh, he just was scratching out the door. So.
He just loved him some Daddy Bear. I'll be out there in a minute. Yep. Love, and all that stuff. My birthday was on the 24th, Bear, and my 3-year-old granddaughter was Christmas morning. Bless you guys. Much love, and happy birthday, Mark. Tremail Henson, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Wow, Tremail, that profile picture is excellent. What a beautiful family. I'm sure he said something very nice here. Can't wait to read this comment. Raiders likely won't shine as long as the Davis family. It's become a tradition on the show. He comes on the show. I say something nice and bring up the fact that we go way back to high school. And then he kicks me in the balls with his comment because he's a Niner fan. Trying to forgive him for that, And to be quite honest with you, Tremail, we are in agreement about that. I don't like the Davis family being in charge. He doesn't understand what he doesn't know. And for the first time in his life, he's really sort of letting go. He tried it with Gruden, and it blew up in his face. He tried it with Josh McDaniels, blew up in his face. And now he's trying it with, instead of the coach, with Tom Brady doing his job. So you notice Mark Davis is getting further and further away from doing the job. So his actions, not his words, his actions are showing us that Mark Davis wants out. I have no doubt about it. Mark Davis wants out. And if Tom Brady can get enough other rich guys together with him, and I know he can, they'll make him an offer and he'll take it. I don't think he wants this anymore. Now that his mom's dead and his dad was already gone, but now that his mom passed away recently, I think Mark's had enough of it. I can't give you any evidence of that other than what I just pointed out. I don't really have any hard evidence. I don't have comments from family or friends or players. I don't have anything like that yet. But what I do have is his actions. And he keeps continuously giving more and more authority to everyone he hires. The authority level goes up every time he hires someone now. Even after the calamity with Gruden, he's still doing it. Now he's doing it at an even more powerful level with Tom Brady. He's pretty much making Tom Brady the owner of the Raiders. Now, obviously in work only and in name only, but he is really letting go and telling Tom, go make it a winner. So scary when you know he has no experience at this. I guess there are going to be a lot of missed tackles come Sunday. You're so stupid. And yes, there will be. Sean Scott, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Sean, that's still the coolest Bear logo Raiders picture I've ever seen. Very cool. And I have a few of those with the Raider logo and a bear. That's one of the coolest I've seen. I'm a Raider fan for life. For life. That's not ink, brother. Well, it's ink, but it doesn't come off. I'm a Raider fan for life, but I'm so sick of this team being the joke of the league. Pete needs to go and take his sons with him. I hope things turn around next season. Okay, Sean, I want to completely change your attitude. I really do. I want to completely change your attitude, okay? Now, I want you to invite me, Sean, to go watch your nephew play football. And when your nephew loses 63-14, I'm going to cheer, clap. I'm going to smile ear to ear. I'm going to high five him. And then I'm going to go with you guys to get pizza and ice cream after the game. See, you have to look at the Raiders that way. It's not like we're the only team not winning. And you have to remember, of all the teams, only one team gets to finish with a winning record. Real winning. Not just win a bunch of handful of games here and there. I'm talking about get into the playoffs, go through those battles, get a championship. Because that's all that matters. The regular season stuff means nothing to me. And if you look at all these other teams that are falling apart and coming undone, they're a lot further away from it than we are. Look at the Cardinals. Look at the Jets. Look at the Browns. Look at the Panthers, who did a little bit of improvement, but still not enough. You know what I mean? The Buccaneers, I don't like that kid, Baker Mayfield. I'm still not convinced about him. I'm not. I don't care what he did this year. Not convinced about him. Don't think he's legitimate. You know what I mean? Look at the Texans and how they came undone. The Titans, they stink. You know what I mean? The Dallas Cowboys have all this talent, all this money. Their season's about to be over, just like ours. You know? It's kind of a crapshoot. And so every year I want my team to be good, make the Raiders great again. Murga, I want my team to be better every year. But when they're not, you know, on to next year. I want to see what it does next year. You know what I mean? And you have to see it like a racing team. And most guys and girls, it doesn't matter who you are, you know enough about racing to know that if your car didn't win this year, that doesn't mean it can't win next year. Maybe you get a better crew. Maybe you get better equipment and tires. Maybe you get a better owner, blah, 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 who spends more money, gets a better driver, and then boom, you're winning. And so we just have to see what kind of car Tom can build, what he can put out on the field for us, and then pick it apart. and verbally destroy him if it sucks. Thomari Bolo Winslow. Bruce Arians would be interested in that OC. Doubt he'd take a demotion to come back, but it would be interesting. Thomari Bolo Winslow, I think he might do that, honestly. I know you're saying it's a demotion, but I'm saying, but it's a demotion to the Raiders and Las Vegas. And you know how hectic the head coaching position can be with the Raiders. If he comes in at OC and just is a good OC and the team has a half lackluster sort of, and the head coach looks bad, now you're looking at him at head coach like that. I mean, think of if he had been with us this year, what happened with Pete Carroll. If they didn't blame the offense, if the offense had been moving and we were just losing close games because of the defense, he'd be up for the job right now. They'd be considering him for it right now. I like Clint Kubiak from Seattle, but his father has beef with Mark Davis, and Kubiak did turn down the offensive coordinator job with us in 2025. Great understanding of football, job reader. Great memory. That all of that is absolutely correct. But to me, money is money. Resumes and careers getting better. You know what I mean? And sooner or later, I would be willing to bet you that even Clint Kubiak's dad would probably say to him, "Hey, go get paid. You know, we don't care that it's the Raiders. It's a great job. Just go get paid. And if things work out, great. You know, we'll all start wearing Raider gear. But if it doesn't, to hell with it." If we can pull Mendoza, keep O'Connell, and move for another backup, yeah, you know, Kevin, that would be smooth. Now, I don't know how much more of AOC we have control over. I think this might be the last of it. In other words, I think he might be a free agent. If we were able to re-sign him and as a veteran give him an opportunity, now, obviously it feels like we're burning games, you know what I mean? Like wasting another season. But I would give him 3 or 4 starts next year to start the season. And then if he doesn't pan out by that 3rd or 4th week, you got to just hope that Mendoza up here is ready to go by week 4, and then you insert him, and then it turns the momentum in the locker room, and it makes him feel like a hero. It gives him confidence. You know what I mean? The defense won't have tape on him yet, so he can just sling the rock and make plays. And then the following season, when he's given the keys and he's the man from day one, he's got to be ready, because these NFL coaches, they're going to have tape on him, and they're going to know they're going to start to understand how to stop him. So you just got to hope that he can get it together before they can figure out how to stop him. I love Joe. No, I'm going to keep saying this just like I did last year. Next to quarterback on offensive line, our biggest need is another defensive end, and we're going to kill Crosby. I've been saying it with you, okay? Death to Malcolm Kuntz, okay? They need to just tar and feather him and throw him out a back window from the 4th floor. Had enough. It's not even his fault. You know, Malcolm Kuntz is probably a great guy. I don't know. Malcolm Kuntz, I apologize. I mean every word, but I apologize. I played running back, defensive end, linebacker. We can adjust for it, especially for the draft from this year. Kevin, not me. When I was younger, I played defensive back. I played a little defensive end because I was tall and I was really fast. I didn't have weight, you know what I mean? But I could get past guys because they just weren't fast on their feet. But yeah, but no linebacker. I never had enough, girth for linebacker. I would hit guys and they wouldn't like pancake me or anything, but I couldn't stop their momentum. I would just hold on and bring them down. Mark, we are looking at Clint Kubiak, and personally, I think that would be a brilliant idea. He had a great year. Thomar Bolo Winslow, looking at Bruce Arians is not so far-fetched if we get rid of Pete, given his Brady and Spytech connections. Thomar, again, another great comment. I completely agree. I was on diaper duty, and Princess Catherine needed snuggles, so my sweet wife stole my phone, and the hell with Brady. Unless he wants to be a limited quarterback coach. By eliminated, I mean just in the film room teaching our rookies, to read the offense. Of course, I like that. Glenn Medina, I would look at free agent, yes. Yes, I would absolutely for a free agent quarterback. They're gonna trade Crosby. George, I can't get on board with that. I just think that's reckless, but at the same time, I understand. I really do. It's just business, business wise, it really could change the face of the team. All right, guys, that is my show. That is my time tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed the fact that I'm making the Raiders great again. Murga. I don't know. Thank you for joining me tonight. Please like and subscribe. Check me out on Patreon. Don't forget the Raider Bear Family Store. If you haven't been to the Raider Bear Family Store, you're just missing out on stuff. Because when I put stuff in my Raider Bear Family Store, sometimes it don't come back. So you get one shot at a lot of the items in the R8RRBEAR Bear family store. So you better get your happy butt over there and click. R8RRBEAR! Much love, R8RRBEAR family page. I'll see you soon, R8RRBEAR family page. Please like and subscribe. Let's go! No, we're not going.